Hey, it's Brett. Um, so, for some context, um, I generally use a lot of terms and concepts that are Christian based. I try to do so in a fashion that rectifies them with other potential perspectives and truth. But there are a lot of phrases that people just assume they understand, and that's dangerous. Um, Misunderstanding things then get just misapplied and taken as fact, and that's as blasphemous, if not more, than any abominable thing in the Bible. And just, I mean, with how vital communication is, it's what we are. On a small level, you know, thoughts are just aggregate collages of other thoughts that are just little bits of pain versus pleasure, of shortest path optimization problems. And when there's cognitive dissonance, when there's some unfavorable return on energy investment, then that pathway finds a new way to allocate that energy. And the urgency with which that is applied just is the severity of that sensation. But in general, I mean, our consciousness being the interface on that aside, that's a whole different conversation. Um, but the thoughts then trying to communicate outside of ourselves, it's the same pathways just extending larger and larger to where the anticipated return includes action going out from yourself and interacting with another person, and then generally some sort of a response back. But so you've got your own thought, and then that gets processed and parsed through kind of a change of basis matrix of how you anticipate they will take your words, receive your words, and your anticipated subjective valuation, what they think your words will mean and what you think it'll mean to them. And then that gets, again, passed to your flawed human communicating devices and goes through the air and whatever medium of transmission, and then attempted or lack of attempt on the receiver's end, and getting through to make sure there's even a three-way handshake of a conversation going on both ends. And then they have another change of basis matrix, parsing back how they infer motive and the intent behind your words and what you said and how you said it and whatever else. And these operations get simplified the more you know the person and the more confident you are in that transformation. Because then it'll be, again, back to the network, you've got a higher confidence that the investment in that will have its proper return. And when you can fully communicate, then you don't have to worry about that transformation basis. If you can already understand each other's terms, you already have like open and transparent communication, crazy idea, right? Then that basis is just a simple shift of perspective. It's never fully at odds with the other one, because they're just different slices of the same overarching pattern of concepts. To whatever extent you share the perspective of the person you're talking to, you don't have to translate that part. You can reference larger, more complex, denser memes, denser tropes, shared experience you're leveraging, so then it just increases a bond between friends. And these communication things, just if everyone just used the words they meant, used them properly, and assumed people meant what they said with words, there'd be far fewer miscommunications. And there's a lot of it that, for me personally, I have trouble with, because I have to break down concepts to step through them, to fully think about them, fully explore them. And sometimes when I do that verbally, it comes off as condescending, or like feel like I know it all, but I know nothing. The only thing I know is the approach, the fully applied logos of how to rationally think through something. And for me, that's all I need to know. It's, everything else just becomes beneficial, arbitrary data. And then what drives me in every moment of life is exploring, the going back and rectifying all these various truths with an overarching truth. And so it's that, again, the rectification of the different truths, like how could this be true and this be true? Well, if there's some sort of a good in each of them, good will stay. There's always a context where good is still good. Bad fades. It becomes just the flavor of the backstory. So on a long enough time scale, there is no bad. It all just becomes the story that ends up all tying together. And that, fortunately, works out whether you believe in any sort of Christianity or any sort of God, especially any sort of a good God, or if you just believe that life, intelligent life, rational, intelligent life, can and will win out. And that's, if there is any sort of meaning or anything greater than the mundane, even, then that is the story of this elegant universe. And that's what I want to explore.